Hi everyone. After what's been a really lovely weekend across the island, when I say across the island, there has been some low cloud and hill fog that's been plaguing some parts of the south and the east, and actually spread into some northeastern parts of the island today. But in general, the island has been pretty much sunny throughout, or at least the majority of the island has. And it's been feeling quite warm with temperatures around 15 to 16 degrees Celsius. The odd place reached 17 degrees yesterday on Saturday. So yeah, it was really quite a lovely couple of days. So we'll start off here, like we often do, with the areas of high and low pressure, showing where the good and bad weather is. And we've got the wind map, the wind strength map over here. This is the average wind speed across the Atlantic and parts of Western Europe. So you can see here, this is at the moment, we've got these relatively light winds. And as we overlay the wind arrows briefly, you can see these winds are coming up in from the south to southeast. Well, at least at the moment they are. But then as we move through tonight and into tomorrow, we start to see some changes. We start to see this low pressure moving in. First of all, tomorrow we will see some unsettled weather, followed by some more unsettled weather on Tuesday, and these winds will be swinging round gradually into the southwest really, and that's by Tuesday. And then by Wednesday, you can see we've got some pretty strong winds developing, with this little area of low pressure here moving up through. You can see these colours intensify, so we're showing these purples really. They're showing an average wind speed of anywhere between 33 and 45 miles per hour. And like I said before, that's coming in from the south to southwest. But if we overlay the wind gusts with this, you can see these very strong gusts moving in off the Atlantic. So we'll be seeing lightly in excess of 60 miles per hour as potentially as we move through Wednesday and Wednesday evening. So then as we move through into Thursday, we can still see that we stay with these very strong winds really from the Atlantic. So they won't mostly be westerlies by then. But then as we move in towards next weekend, it does settle down briefly, but we've still got these areas of low pressure out here to the west. So it looks like a very unsettled week as a whole. So we're going to get a little bit more detail on that. We're not going to be using the normal weather symbols that we usually do. We've got a couple of problems with the system at the moment, but hopefully you'll be able to understand what we'll be trying to show you here. So you can see that through this evening you've got quite a bit of clouds starting to develop across southern England, and then as we move through tonight and into tomorrow, we can see those cloud amounts thickening up quite a lot. So then as we move into tomorrow, we start to see some rain pushing in from the southwest. And although it's quite difficult to say how much that rainfall there's going to be, because there's a little bit of a divergence between some of the weather models here. So one of the most frequent ones we use here is a medium resolution model. It does show some rain moving in some point through really after 11 a.m. and before 2 p.m. really, and then clearing through to the east. However, one of the other models that we use is showing the rain a little bit heavier and a little bit more persistent for a while. Pretty much, really a lot more significant amounts of rain really moving through. So it's quite difficult to say how heavy it's going to be, but at the moment it does look like it will be there will be a spell of a few hours tomorrow around the middle of the day where it's going to be raining, and it could potentially be heavy for a short time. The temperature tomorrow won't be too bad again. We're going to be looking at 14 to 15 degrees Celsius through the day. Perhaps dropping off somewhat during the afternoon into the evening though, because you saw before, the rainfall that moves through is going to really drop those temperatures, because this is going to be a cold front moving through. So behind that we're going to see some cooler air. So then as we move into Tuesday, things really don't look good at all, especially if you're going to be doing any outside or outdoor activities, because you can see this big old area of rainfall out here to the west moving through, and that comes through as we move into the early hours of Tuesday morning. It's quite heavy and quite persistent. In fact, it lasts for at least half of the day, so really after midday it does settle down somewhat, but then you see it coming in behind. You see this more patchy, broken area of rainfall, which is just affecting the coast here, and that's a sign that we're going to be seeing showers, some of which are likely to be heavy, perhaps with hail, and you can't even rule out the odd rumble of thunder here and there. So now let's have a look at those wind speeds for Tuesday. So you can see as we move through the early hours, you can see the winds really start to pick up along the south coast here, and these are average wind speeds. So like I said before, you can anything really between 37 and 47, well maybe 45, 47 miles per hour as an average wind speed. So if we take a little look at the gusts, you can see that these colours are pushing into the white and perhaps even the grey. So that's showing gusts really 58, 61, 64 miles per hour. So really into the 60s. Although as we move through after midday, the wind does come around gradually into the west to southwest, and the winds become a little bit lighter for a time. And that will be mostly in temperatures of really 13 to 14 degrees Celsius. Although after the rain band comes through, the temperatures will drop away a little bit, so by the afternoon we're going to be seeing really 12s and 13s across the island. So as we move into Wednesday, we can see these heavy showers staying with us throughout the morning, the early hours of the morning should I say, and they really stay with us through most of Wednesday. Although later on Wednesday, we see the showers fizzle away and we see this huge area of rainfall moving in off the Atlantic. And that reaches us really by mid-afternoon, and some of this could really be quite heavy. And accompanying that rain, there's going to be some very strong winds. So let's have a little look at those wind gusts. As we move through Wednesday, you can see the winds ease off a little bit at first, but then they pick up again later in the day and in towards the evening. And you can see some very strong, we'll flip back a frame there, some very strong gusts once again. So really anywhere along the south coast of the island, or perhaps the west coast, and even the east coast maybe for a time, we're going to be seeing gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour once again. So really looking quite unpleasant. So then as we move into Thursday, we see further heavy rain and further showers, perhaps thundery, perhaps with hail. It looks like a really unsettled start to Thursday. As we move through the day, the showery spells ease off somewhat, but there's still a risk of a few around, perhaps more in towards southern parts of the island. But it does settle down a little bit as we move through towards the second half of Thursday and in towards the evening. Although, of course, this may change a little bit as we get a bit closer to the time. The winds on Thursday, these are wind gusts again. Not quite as bad as what we had been seeing earlier in the week, but still pretty gusty really throughout Thursday, with wind gusts pushing up to around 35-40 miles per hour, but in any of the heavier showers it will be potentially gusting a bit stronger. And then finally, as we move into Friday, we see some little less unsettled conditions, perhaps with some clearer skies at times, a few breaks in the cloud, but still quite a bit of cloud around. And that means that we could still see the odd shower here and there, but it certainly doesn't look quite as bad as what it was looking earlier in the week. So yeah, not a terrible day on Friday by the looks of things at the moment. The winds as we move into Friday also don't look quite as strong as what they did earlier in the week. So we're seeing really these are wind gusts, so we're going to be seeing potentially 25 to 30 miles per hour at first, but things do ease up, and towards the second half of the day the winds really start to become quite light. So it looks like a fairly settled end to the week, at least the very end part of the week. The temperature on Friday, quite a bit down on what was earlier in the week, so we're looking at 10-11 degrees Celsius. We might see the odd 12 here and there, and then as we move into the afternoon and evening, temperatures falling away quite quickly. In fact, as we move into the evening, it does look like it could be a relatively chilly night. But that's pretty much all we can show you for the time being. I do apologise that I cannot show you any more of the detailed maps and charts that we usually use for these forecasts, but hopefully they'll be back again on the next video update. But so yeah, anyway, an unsettled week coming up with rain and gales at times, especially through the middle part of the week. And towards the very end of the week, it does look like settling down a little bit, at least for a time. Anyway, that's all for now. Goodbye.